Today I wanted to play through my favorite Nintendo DS ROM hack, BlazBlack 2 Redux, but with only shiny Pokemon. This game has every single Pokemon up until Generation 5 available, so we'll be able to get any shiny you love. In this run I managed to capture over 10 shiny Pokemon, so I hope you're ready for some sparkling. If you want to know more about Pokemon BlazBlack 2 Redux itself, I highly recommend checking out my 100-hour video on it, but it is basically Pokemon Black 2 totally optimized, made way harder, and the shiny odds are increased. So let's shine our way through the Unova region. Clive is going to be our rival in this one.
Oh, that's hot. That's hot.
And as we jump right into our adventure, our mom already tells us to leave the house. Which means we're homeless now, so me and Clive wander the streets until we eventually stumble upon a green-haired lady that gives me a pokedex and a Pokemon to choose from. I have already played through the Unova region with only shiny Pokemon, but that was in Pokemon Black 1. And in that video, I decided to go with Tepig as my starter because Emboar looks absolutely insane. But now it's time to switch it up. So I saved and reset as hard and fast as I could in front of Bianca, until eventually after 382 resets, a beautiful, different shaded blue Oshawott showed up. She is, however, very mischievous, so we're going to have to watch out with her, but at least her shell armor will protect her from any critical hits they might throw our way. Straight after, Clive got a little bit jealous and went straight into battle with me. I almost lost this battle because I was using Leer on this Snivy, but it has the contrary ability, so I was raising its defense instead of lowering it. If it wasn't for the Oran Berry that my Oshawott was holding, I definitely would have fainted. And that would have been embarrassing, to say the least. We get taken to a Pokemon Center straight after and learn how everything works there, but honestly, do these people behind the counters ever leave their job? You never just see a Pokemon clerk walking around in the overworld. I feel kinda bad for these guys. Big orange man jumps off a cliff and asks me, "Hey kid, where'd you get that shiny Pokemon?" Because as it turns out, his oldest son also gives away shiny Pokemon from time to time. We follow Alder around for a little bit and eventually reach the next route. On this route, there was one particular Pokemon that I would have loved to have a shiny from. It's a Generation 3 Pokemon, and he loves dancing with his favorite character, Mirror B. That's right, Lotad. But this isn't Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. I can't just make sandwiches to make Lotad appear out of nothing. So I had to resort to running from left to right in the same grass patches just to get disappointed by a green-shaded pig monkey. I of course would have loved to evolve this into an Annihilate, but that isn't available here. So we're stuck with the less exciting Primeape. After naming Mankey Asher, I went on over to Flocesi Ranch, where Clive once again wanted a battle. But we don't even need an Annihilate. As you can see right here, Oshawott has more than enough Annihilation power to destroy Talos, Snivy, and Pampur with Fury Cutters and Aqua Jets. We then save someone's dog, head back to town, finish up in the school by beating up all their students, get a free medal box because I love competing for trophies. We arrive back into our hometown and we see that we have a new homeroom teacher. This time it's Roxanne from the Hoenn region. She only has a Geodude and a Nosepass, and with my mischievous Mankey, we kicked them very low in the groin and then got them out of here. Mankey's ability is also very overpowered. Anger Point. If I get hit with a critical hit, my attack maxes out. There is a little bit of a problem though. Mankey has absolute garbage defenses. So even if I do get hit with a critical hit, I'm most of the time just going to die. Now you may think the first gym leader is going to be super easy with Mankey by your side, because it's a normal type gym leader, so you'll just be able to kick in their face, which is slightly wrong because low kick doesn't really do a lot of damage if the Pokemon doesn't weigh a lot. It took 2 whole low kicks to take down his first Pokemon Minccino, and the second Pokemon was a Pidove, so I had to swap out into Oshawott and kill his next 3 Pokemon, all with Razor Shells and Aqua Jets. The cool thing is that after this battle, my Oshawott evolved into a Duod, which is not only the best looking one of the entire evolution line. I mean, just look at the new purple pants he's wearing combined with the new shade of blue. I think Duod is a very good shiny. But in this game, they also change around some Pokemon's typings. For example, this Zuwad is now not just a pure water type, it also adds the fighting type to it. Once we get our gym badge, we step outside and get a call with instructions to go to Verbank City. Just before entering, our mother calls us again and tells that we should check out the Verbank complex because there's a ton of cool Pokemon there. From a ton of electric types like Magnemite, Voltorb, Elekid, but there's also fire types like Slugma and Growlithe. One Pokemon I wouldn't like to get is a Coughing, but the creme de la creme, the best Pokemon you can find here is by far a Porygon. But it's also the Pokemon with the lowest encounter chance. At first, I was running around in the tall grass because then you can encounter 2 Pokemon, so double the chance at a shiny. But then I realized that Porygon were only spawning in the regular grass, so I changed up my hunting spot. And after only about 50 minutes, this beauty finally showed up. You have no idea how lucky I am to get this Porygon, and how happy I am with Porygon because not only can I get Porygon 2, I can also get Porygon Z if I really want to. No need to trade them in this game, so I won't be stuck with its first evolution. Xeno here has a very wide move pool and honestly a very nice stat distribution, so I decided to take him to his first concert immediately. He doesn't seem to be the biggest fan of rock music though, as he jumped on the stage then attacked Roxy with a ton of confusions. And that was that, second gym badge acquired. Then we do some gang wars just outside of the gym and track them down to their hiding spot. Just before I'm about to finish off Team Plasma, Bryson comes along and scares them off even more. He tells me that he's now starring in the new Avatar movie and that we should come to Pokestar Studios to show our strength. And if you thought that Mankey was just going to karate chop everything on his team, you were wrong. Mankey is kinda useless. So Xeno had to come in and show them who's boss again with charge beams and swifts. I also really like that I got the Silk Scarf this early because Swift does a lot more damage now. After the captain sees our performance, he gives me a free ride to the big city. Once we start wandering around the streets and get lost a couple of times, I enter a couple of buildings where sometimes I got free items and sometimes I just totally got destroyed in battles. However, one of these buildings housed a name raider, so I could finally give Duad the name she deserves. Straight after, we have to do some wet work together with Clive. We were just roaming around in the sewers, picking up every item I could see, battling every trainer for extra experience, but I specifically did not want to shiny hunt with Clive by my side because in my last run, he showed me that you can never trust companions. But then, this happened. I ran into a shiny Spinarak. And I actually got pretty damn lucky because the Servine attacked the regular Spinarak first so I could take it down with Karate Chop. Then I just had to throw my Great Ball and hope for the best. But luckily, Itzy decided that I was a good fit for her. Even though I hate spiders, I think shiny Ariados is a very cool looking mon. And with its sniper ability, critical hits are going to destroy the competition. We then clean up the last few Team Plasma members out of the sewers, have our first meeting with Birch, who's finally going back to his duties as a gym leader, and we also see a scientist with bracers bigger than those of Willy Wonka. We get sucked into a different dimension, and no, please. No. Really glad I got my ass kicked in there, but this made me realize I had to become stronger, so I evolved Mankey into Primeape, who doesn't keep the green color and sadly enough doesn't turn into Shrek, and eventually on the top floor of a building I found the upgrade, so I evolved my Porygon into Porygon 2. We then turned a local bar upside down with our new duck, and show another gym leader that he should stay in his region. Speaking of gym leaders, Burge is up next. There couldn't have been a better start to this battle. I used 4 charge beams to take down his first Pokemon Dwebble, and 2 of those gave me special attack boosts. This then allowed me to almost one-shot Parasect with Signal Beam, but he had a Focus Sash and then put me to sleep with Spore. I then get hit with Seed Bomb, which brings me down to exactly half HP, but I then take it out with Charge Beam. No extra special attack boost, but that's not needed. Another Signal Beam, Leavanny also goes down. Masquerain hits a Bubble Beam but falls to a Tri Attack, and the last Pokemon Scyther leaves me with 3 HP so I can also finish it off. third gym badge acquired with a Porygon 2 sweep. Same thing happened to Colress and his regular duck.
What the hell is this?
Since I knew the next gym leader Elisa was an electric type user, I went into the desert hoping for a ground type. There was a ton of stuff in this desert that weren't ground types like Skorupi, Darumaka, Sigilift, and everybody's favorite, Maractus. But Destiny decided to smile up on my face today, and they gave me a beautiful Sandile. I really love its blue underbelly, but that is going to go away once we evolve it. With Rosa on the team, we try to head over to the next city, but first we have to tell some people what motivates me. And I just straight up told them. Talking about straight, guess who's standing straight up after an evolution? That's right, Rosa the Krokorok. In the new city, we immediately get ambushed by the upgraded version of Sharon, but her normal type stood no chance to my Itzy and its Life Orb. Before we take on Elisa, I first went to the stadium to show Flannery what I've got. After somehow finishing off her Fire-type team with my Bug-type Ariados, she gave me the best item for this playthrough, the Choice Band. And then Kayla shows up in her final form, and I do have to say, Samurott is a pretty underwhelming shiny. Would have looked way better if they just kept Duot's colors. I showed my fashion by going on a catwalk and started embarrassing Elisa in front of an entire crowd of people. I went in with Rosa first and gave her the Choice Band. Then I went for 2 Rock Tombs on Emolga to take it out, but Ampharos was able to take one very well and counter back with a Focus Blast, already taking Rosa out. Itzy lunged Ampharos and the next Pokemon Zebstrika to take both of them out. I Sucker Punched Electabuzz once, but Psychic was way too much for me. Kayla then tried to take it out with a Sacred Sword, but she Volt Switched out into Lantern, who I took down with 2 Sacred Swords. Electabuzz came out again, Cross Chop missed, and Kayla finished it off. 4 gym badges acquired, as well as some new fashion poses. We beat up Team Plasma for the millionth time, and then joined this biker guy in a triple battle, but he was just way too strong for me. I gave this fight like 7 attempts and just wasn't able to win against his very well-crafted triple team, mostly because the type matchups were just really not in my favor, so I evolved my Krokorok into Krookodile, giving him a major attack boost, and with the Choice Band, that was enough to scare most of his Pokemon away so that Porygon 2 could finish it off. We see some hallucinations on a bridge and eventually reach Driftvale City. Oh, and of course 2 evil teams arguing about who's the best. Brendan's dad always gets beat up, and in this game it's no different. We brute force our way through his team and grab the choice specs as a reward, which is not going to be that useful to us right now, but that does mean we're going to have to get a good special attacker. And I have the perfect one in mind, but before we can get it, we need to acquire our next gym badge. Luckily this time Clay was able to just leave on the lights in his gym so I wouldn't be stuck there for hours and hours. So let's show the cowboy that we'll be rootin' and tootin'. Kayla was up against Nidoqueen but didn't really fare too well. I was able to do some decent damage with Aqua Tail and then Aqua Jet after he used a full restore, but once I was about to finish it off, he swapped out into Seismitoad with Water Absorb. Xeno then matched Seismitoad's power by going down in the same turn because I managed to burn him with Tri-Attack. Asher took down Nidoqueen with Bulldozes and did a lot of damage on Claydol with Lunge. Psychic finishes me off. Itzy just used 1 more Leech Life to finish off Claydol. Krookodile then proceeded to squash my little spider with Earthquakes. I then proceeded to overpower him with a Krookodile of my own. Just like the next Pokemon Nidoking, but Excadrill was too fast and my Krookodile finally went down. So I brought in Samurott, outsped him with a Quick Claw activation, and Secret Sorted him into next Tuesday. Clay then introduces me to the Pokemon Worlds Tournament where all the trainers from every region are battling it out. But before we compete ourselves, I go to the EV Grinding Bros. Here you can max out your Pokemon's potential and also grind them up if you want to. I also picked up a Rocky Helmet, which is going to be a very useful item later in the game to get some extra chip damage in, and then I went on a training session to max out my Pokemon stats. This allowed me to totally sweep through the next couple of opponents with Colress as the final one. With our first tournament win, we can go further with the story, but first, let's do another shiny hunt. I just told you I really needed a special attacker for those choice specs. Well, what if I told you that there was a way to get one of the strongest fire-type Pokemon this early in the game? An evolution that normally doesn't occur until level 59. That's right, I went to the underground Relic Castle. one of the more mysterious and cooler places in the Unova region. But my next shiny target was Volcarona. It's actually a very easy hunt to do, just save in front of it and keep on resetting until you get it. You don't have a long cutscene to go through, and it doesn't even take more than 20 seconds to reset your game. Only 124 resets later, and this beautiful yellow giant moth showed up. I know in Scarlet and Violet this thing got two deserved paradox forms, one of them really cool, and one of them we don't talk about that one. I myself got a shiny Slitherwing and can now say I have a Volcarona too. So say hello to Mona, the relaxed shiny Volcarona. Not the best nature with minus speed plus defense, but I know Volcarona's pretty fast and can definitely still outspeed a lot of opponents. Shortly after, we already find Team Plasma on their boat, but we get kicked off by the instant transitioning Shadow Dryad. At first I was going to capture my next Pokemon in Charged Stone Cave, but then I found out that there really weren't that many interesting Pokemon in there. So instead, Professor Juniper and the next gym leader Skyla greet me and hand me a Master Ball and a challenge. Go to the next round because we've heard that there's a lot of ruckus going down. And as it turns out, they were right. Team Plasma is once again up to no good, as the new and the old ones are once again trying to one-up each other. But our favorite MMA fighter is once again there to save the day. Marshall shoos them off together with Skyla, and we also get an invitation from Colress to fight him again because he has some very interesting Pokemon. But first I go to the local Pokemon Tower, which is filled with psychic types and ghosts. Two typings that I could really use on the team, but I was honestly really going for Litwick because Chandelure just has such a nice shiny. There were also Chinglings and Chimechos in here, which I don't want it at all, and while I didn't get the beautiful Litwick that I really wanted, I still got a shiny which I consider very decent, a floating blanket. Shuppet was really easy to capture, so I named him Sangan from that one Yu-Gi-Oh card that everybody knows, and I didn't waste any more time and immediately evolved it into Banette. The dark tealish body color works really well with the red eyes and the gold on its tail and mouth. While Banette might not be the hardest hitter because he doesn't have access to his Mega Evolution in this game, I will definitely give it a shot on the team. First, Rosa has to show Colress that he shouldn't be stealing Pokemon from Pokestar Studios, so he destroys both machines with earthquakes. He then sustains some horrible injuries in the gym, which is why I never go, and after suing Skyla, she attacks me in a fit of rage. I actually started out with Banette against her first Pokemon Skarmory. I set up 4 Hone Claws and then proceeded to Sucker Punch the Skarmory. This didn't even take it out, so I'm guessing Banette really isn't that great. But luckily, the recoil damage from the Brave Bird did take out Skarmory. The Skarmory was also able to set up Stealth Rocks and Spikes, which almost kills my Mona in one hit just from the hazard damage. So after hitting a Giga Drain on Gliscor, I get taken out by one Stone Edge. Xeno then tri-attacked his way through to the next Pokemon, Archeops, who took one look at me and went for acrobatics. Xeno down, so Samroth can easily clean it up, right? Nope, she used full restore, I clicked Aqua Jet, and Archeops took me down. Finally, after all that work, Itzy takes it down with Sucker Punch, and my choice bandit Rosa was able to Rock Tomb, Togekiss, Swanna, and Drifblim to win my 6th gym badge. We then flew to a land far, far away, and even though it's a small addition to the Unova region, I think this new location is absolutely amazingly designed. From the spooky house that I'm absolutely not entering, to the steamy caves that have a feeling of Heatran being there. Speaking of those steamy caves, let's get right through them with our new companion, Bianca. And oh god, I hope I don't run into a shiny again because I don't want another situation like Grimer. No. No. Wait. Not again. Why, Bianca? Why do you hate me? You know what? Just get out of here. I never want to see you again. Oh no, please, not Cynthia again. At least she doesn't fight me here. Instead, I battled Clive and destroyed him with my beautiful golden moth. I very nonchalantly walked past this deer, listened to an old story about dragons, and show Mr. Wintercoat that we're not to be messed with. But straight after, we come to the hardest battle in this entire run. For me, at least. And that one was against Benga. He destroyed me many times. Probably because his team is full of pseudo-legendaries. But eventually I found a strategy to beat him with my weaker but more beautiful team. I did some chip damage on Metagross with Sucker Punch from Banette. Then I proceeded to switch in Crocodile because this Metagross has a Focus Sash, and without that chip damage I couldn't one-shot it. So now I go for Crunch, take out the Metagross, and activate my Moxie ability. With the Choice Band and this attack boost, I then proceed to take out Gyarados. My crocodile only gets stronger and stronger from here, so I can one-shot Embor, Volcarona, Congeldr, and finally Garchomp. Once that violation is over, we carry on to the next town, get ambushed by a green deer this time, once again ignore it, and head straight to the department store where we can pick up a dubious disc if we want to evolve our Porygon 2 into Porygon Z, but I don't think I'm going to do that, because in the same store, I managed to find an Eviolite, which is going to boost the defense and special defense from Porygon 2 through the roof. And this makes him a lot better than if I would have evolved him. But there's actually another reason why I entered this department store, and that's because somewhere deep inside of here, a Pokemon resides. It's one that a lot of people love. It's a Pokemon that can help you with all your household chores, and he even turns into your Pokedex. That's right, our next shiny hunting target is going to be Rotom. And I know the shiny odds have been boosted in this game, but this was the fastest hunt by far. Only about 5 minutes after I started resetting for him. 22 resets later, and this Rotom sparkled beautifully red. I of course had to capture this luxurious Pokemon in a luxury ball, and I named him Frozone because I planned on turning him into the fridge form. Not only because it's going to be very useful against dragon types, but also because fighting with a fridge in a Pokemon game is absolutely top tier comedy. Inside the same store, I also bought a ton of PP Maxes to give my Pokemon grande PPs. After a clash between a black and a white dragon, I just realized that these are supposed to represent Reshiram and Zekrom. We also get the opportunity to show Drayden what we've got. Frozone immediately shows the power of the fridge. Blizzard kills Druddigon, but Flygon is faster and immediately breaks my fridge. Kayla then gets destroyed by Draco Meteors, but this is actually a good thing because now the Flygon's stats are lowered, so I can bring in Xeno, set up some nasty plots, and also recover my health if it gets too low. I then take out Flygon, Charizard, and Haxorus with tri-attacks, but Salamence finally takes down my scary duck with Hydro Pump of all moves. I try to take down Salamence with Crunch, but once again, doesn't really do enough damage. Hydro Pumps Rosa and takes her out. Banette then Sucker Punches the Salamence, and his final Pokemon is going to be Altaria. 2 Crush Claws later, and the 7 Gym Badge is mine. But then there's a Bioterrorist attack, and they turn the entire town into a frozen tundra. We, however, are used to the cold by now because of the fridge that we're always carrying with us, so we once again go up to Zinzalin and tell him how it is. If you really want to ski this badly, go to a skiing area. Don't turn everything into your private skiing complex. The man is too dense to listen to me though. Zinzalin finally leaves and Drayden gives me the DNA splicers, who immediately get stolen by a ninja guy. So Sharon shows up on the scene and is like, yo, we should go to this town that nobody knows about. Maybe Team Plasma's there. But first, it's time for a new shiny hunt, and this one is about to be sus. I went searching on the route next to Humilau City. There are a ton of Pokemon available on this route, Weepinbell, Gloom, Piloswine, and many more, but there were 2 targets I wanted here. I would have been happy with a Mienshao, but my main target was a Mungus, the imposter Pokemon. And I'm happy to announce to all of you that after 758 encounters, the purple sus mushroom was mine. He's actually going to make for a nice team member because he's very bulky if you train him in HP, and then I'm also going to give him some utility moves like Spore and Toxic. And he immediately shows his worth as we take on the next gym leader, Marlon. I start off by going for Spore on Politoed, then I pivot out into Porygon 2, set up my nasty plots, and proceed to sweep his entire team with Tri-Attack and Thunderbolt. Nobody was left alive, and he was so embarrassed that he decided to swim away after giving me the badge. We run into a thick deer this time. Colress first gives me a device which I can use to make Crustals angry. This allowed me to once again enter the Team Plasma ship without being noticed. Once we hack all of their devices, Zinzalin is there once again to try and stop us. But me and Clive have done quite a lot of training, and with a dream team of Crocodile and Electros's Levitate, we easily earthquake them out of the way. The ninjas once again kick us off the ship and they fly away. And Sharon tells me that they're heading to the giant chasm. There's another fight between the 2 Team Galactic groups going down, but we just scoot past there and do some ice puzzles. We enter the ship for a second time, and guess what? Another Zinzalin battle. I feel like there's just a little bit too many of those. It is another double battle, but this time we're facing him on our own, but our fiery moth melted down his entire team to a puddle of water. We also swirl into Colress's room and tell him to stop his evil experiments.
It's time to stop!
He'll do it, but only on one condition, if we can beat him in this battle. And I know Mona's been doing a lot of carrying, and in this battle it was no different. First, Crocodile took out Behem and rode on Wash, Magnezone survived with the Sturdy and then took me down. My Golden Moth then did some fiery dances, raids his special attack, and burned up Magnezone, Porygon Z, Klinklang, and Metagross. Time to find out who the real mastermind behind Team Plasma is. Of course, it's Gitsis, but older. And this time, he's actually pretty smart because he leaves his little ninjas to deal with me while he goes and fetches Kyurem. We have some emotional moments with Clive and the Purloin that's now been turned into a Liepard. And once the Shadow Trio is defeated, we go to the Giant Chasm once again and go into the deepest parts of the coldest cave. We, however, are too late because Gitsis already has Kyurem under his control, and he proceeds to kill us with a Glaciate. But N brings me back to life with its Zekrom's Fusion Bolt, but this unleashes a bigger catastrophe. Because of the DNA splicers, Kyurem can now fuse with Zekrom to create Kyurem Black. You might think that this menacing-looking creature is going to totally annihilate me, but my starter Kayla just uses close combat 2 times in a row and Kyurem is down and out. Gitsis doesn't seem too happy that his plans are totally falling into the water again, so first Kayla takes out Koffakrigus with a couple of air slashes. Rodon freezes his Electros back to the Ice Age and shocks his Gyarados down too. Among Us drains the Machamp down, then I swap into Mona, go for the Fiery Dance to take down Genesect, and the last Pokemon Hydreigon also goes down to 2 more Fiery Dances. Gitsis flees the scene and only leaves behind a staff, and N tells me to go to Victory Road because he has a present for me. So once we get out of that frosty place together with our rival, we go straight there and he gives me the White Stone. While I then was going through Victory Road itself, I stumbled upon a weird red-haired looking dude with a Dragonite, and it seems like he was training up 4 people and they wouldn't let me pass until I defeated all of them. They all have some kind of weather team and are ready to whoop my ass. I only had troubles with the fire type team, but I was ultimately able to take it down with my very own fire type, and the rest of them were a piece of cake. Lance then lets me pass and also gives me the Rainbow and Clear Wing to summon Lugia or Ho-Oh, but that's something I'm not gonna do in this run. I am, however, going to go up against Clive one final time. I washed away Swellow with Kayla's Surf, froze away Serperior with Frozone's Blizzard, quaked the earth out of Camerupt with Rosa. Mona danced with Electros until he set on fire. Rosa then Sucker Punched Starmie, but Flygon survived one, killed me with Bug Buzz, and Xeno cleaned it up with Tri Attack. Clive, being the good friend that he is, gave me some final encouragements to go and take on the league. But you might have noticed that it's been a little while since I've captured my last shiny, so let's do my final hunt in Victory Road. There are many spots that I could have hunted. Inside a cave, maybe on the river, but no, all of these Pokemon just weren't doing it for me. I decided to go out into the tall grass again, which was filled with birds. But there was one bird so majestic, so beautiful that it was standing on top of all of the others. And that one was America's Pride Braviary, so my eyes were totally set on that one. However, Braviary was a rare spawn, so instead of giving me Braviary, they gave me arguably a better battling Pokemon. So instead, I got myself a rusted and green looking Skarmory. With F14 as my final encounter, I knew I had to throw somebody off the team in order to use him. And a Pokemon that's been continuously disappointing in this run to me is Kayla, my starter. So even though she's been with me for so long, I'm still going to have to drop her and put F14 in here. She'll be a great spike setter, can also boost her own stats with Curse, and then hit very hard with Drill Peck or Iron Head. With all of that preparation done, there was only one more obstacle in my way, the Pokemon League. And I decided to start out with the Psychic type leader, Caitlyn. I went in with Mona first against her Behem. I was able to Bug Buzz, but she had a Focus Sash and set up Trick Room. This allowed her next Pokemon Slowbro to outspeed me and hit a Surf. I did survive and once again took it out with Bug Buzz, but Metagross once again outsped me the turn after and took me down. Luckily, I have a powerhouse of a Dark type in Rosa, who could just crunch Metagross, Gothitelle, Reuniclus, and finally Musharna to easily win my first battle. I, however, couldn't use the same strategy against Marshall, so I used F14 to start out. I should have just set up spikes here, but instead I just set up curses and took down Throw with Drill Picks, just for Skarmory to go down to the next Pokemon Medichamp's Thunder Punch. Mona then fiery danced her way through Medicham and almost one-shot Sog, but because of its sturdy, it hung on and was able to take me down with a single Stone Edge. Gotta love those 4x super effective moves. He used a full restore, but Xeno's tri-attacks took it down. But this guy does use fighting types, so one more high jump kick from Lucario, and Xeno was no more. I know I said Rosa wasn't going to work against this guy, but apparently 3 Earthquakes, 3 more kills. And if you thought Chantal was going to be any different, you're totally wrong. I did lead off with Skarmory again, this time set up 3 layers of spikes before going down to Jellicent. Then I put the Jellicent to sleep with Spore from Among Us and swapped out into Porygon. I set up 3 Nasty Plots to max out my special attack and then electrocuted her entire team with Thunderbolt while having to use Recover half of the time to get my HP back. Onto Grimsley, but I doubt he's going to put up a fight either. Among Us started out by sporing his first Pokemon Crocodile, then proceeding to take him out with 2 Giga Drains. The next Pokemon was Houndoom, so I swapped out into Xeno, set up my 3 Nasty Plots, and got ready to sweep his team. After Houndoom went down, I thought Scrafty comes out, easy peasy one shot, but somehow he outspeeds and kills me with a high jump kick. I go into F14 to finish him off with 2 Drill Pecks while he just wastes his turn going for Dragon Dance, and his Honchkrow then matches my power because my Rocky Helmet damage took him out in the end. The last Pokemon Bisharp went down to Thunderbolts from Frozone. This gives us access to the big stairs. And at the end of it, we get the battle Iris. And she was ready for me with her full Dragon type team. But I started out with F14 again. I went for 1 Iron Head to damage the Dragonite, because otherwise its multi-scale ability is going to protect it from a one-shot. Then I proceeded to set up 3 layers of spikes. He hits me with 2 Fire Punches. I do a little bit more cheek damage because of my Rocky Helmet. And once Skarmory is down, I bring in my Crocodile and click that Choice Banded Sucker Punch. Dragonite down in 1 hit. I get a Moxie boost, the next Pokemon Serperior comes in. The spikes hurt it, another Sucker Punch, another kill. Hydreigon doesn't get affected by the spikes, however, and also manages to tank a Sucker Punch. Luckily for us, it misses his Focus Blast, and we can Sucker Punch it again to take it down. The next 3 Pokemon, Haxorus, Fraligator, and Archeops also all go down to my Sucker Punches plus spike damage. And that's that! Iris defeated. I don't think I could have wished for a better end to that, because Crocodile has been so good already through this entire run and just shows it once again against Iris. But we had so many cool team members. Mona was also amazing, Xeno helped us out in a ton of tight spots, and I'm just really happy that I could assemble this really amazing shiny team. Let me know in the comments down below who your favorite shiny Pokemon in this video was. For me, it was definitely Volcarona. And with all of that out of the way, I want to thank my membership and Patreon supporters for supporting the channel. If you want to do so yourself, you can click the links in the description. It is always appreciated, but not needed. And as always, people, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends. I'm Zwiggo, and I'll see you guys next time.